Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Overview 360 HxGN Hacks series. I believe we're at number 4 in this series, and today we're going to be looking a little bit more into the stacked bar charts, a reporting widget, and then the nonconformities widget. All right, so let's dive in. So our stacked bar chart, as you can see in this example here, the requirements for this guy are going to be similar to your pie chart, right? So the query or data spy that you're using has to return bare minimum, obviously 2 columns here for our X and Y axes. And as we can see, this is work order cost over time period, right? And then those costs are split out based on another metric, maybe labor costs, material costs, as an example. We're looking at essentially the overview form of this, whereas some of the metrics can be changed in these widgets based on equipment selection. So this is one of those, right? So we can dial further down into specific information, as in this one where we've dialed it down to one piece of equipment. The stacked bar charts, we'll look at this when we get in there, but we can utilize queries or grids here. So we're also looking at another way to pull data, and that'll make more sense once we open it up. So just like our line chart, so to speak. So we have 2 options here as well for that. So once we take a look at that, then we're going to jump into the report widget. So this guy's pretty neat. It's very straightforward as far as setting up goes. We pull the widget in, and then we open up our lookup there, and we pick from the selection of reports. And it does automatically title it like this one that we're looking at, the mean time between failures. We can update that title if you want. Last will be our nonconformities widget. So this one, nonconformity specifically, this one is only available in the equipment overview 360 screen. This is one of those that wouldn't be over on the org overview 360, right? So it's obviously equipment specific. But yeah, so this is looking at nonconformity data in EAM and pulling it back. The setup for this is pretty straightforward, but the data that's returned requires a little bit of pre-configuration. If any of you guys are currently using nonconformities, then you probably know what I'm talking about. So we'll pop through those 3, and let's do that by jumping over in EAM. I'm already logged in, and I'm already looking at our HxGN Hacks demo template here. So we'll just continue on building from this guy. So let's hit edit, and then of course I'm going to click add a widget. And let's grab our stacked bar chart. So down here, my new widget ready for me to edit and personalize if I would like. So here we go. So when I hit edit for the stacked bar chart, notice we have some options here. So we can roll through with a query, just like we would an inbox or KPI, right? And there are specifics pre-created for this, of course, for our overview 360 portions. So we could pull that. And then we can, of course, give our widget a title, and then we can override the defaults for the label names. If you leave them blank, then you will get pre-created titles there. So let's look at it in the form of the grid name. So if I wanted to swap this from our query, or I could just simply add another widget, stack bar chart, and apply the grid. I can take this out, which will free this up, and then I can go into my grid, and then I can choose here. So view cost for equipment, we'll look at that one. So this is the cost tab from the equipment screen, and then I will choose data spy. We have one specific to pull in the data correctly. Remember, you have to have those 2 object and object ords specifications. And if I pull in equipment, just as an example here, let's see if we get some data back. Oh, I got a dud, but that's okay. It's not going to work for the widget, right? So I want to swap back to where my data exists. I'm going to grab my query. And let's see, edition ratings. We'll stick with this guy. And let's clear our equipment. So let's take a look at our report widget. second from the bottom there, and I'll hit submit. And I want to drag this one over here to the right side so that we can get a little bit more visibility on it. Go ahead and click edit here, and then I can pick one of these reports that I have available. So this widget, as you can see, it is running the report, and then it will essentially act as a viewer for that report inside of the widget, right? So we can choose from that list of reports to give us information back like this so that we can see the report quickly without having to go through the menu and run it. Let's give it a little bit of personalization. I'm trying to find a color I haven't used. Now, lastly, let's take a look at our nonconformity widget. So open up my list, and there's my nonconformities. Hit submit, and let's drag this one over here too. We'll just even it out. So here I will hit edit. For the nonconformities, it's going to be asking me for that screen name, nonconformities. And then it's looking for the data spy on the screen, right? So we just have all records coming through for nonconformities, and we can title this nonconformities. Hit submit. Beautiful. So let's personalize this top here. Nonconformities would be bad, so let's go with red. Cool. So now that I have these three loaded in, I'm going to hit exit edit mode, and we'll just take a look at it here. So our nonconformities, as we can see, is showing me the nonconformities from EAM, right? So if I were to go to the nonconformity screen, I would see this record in there, and I can scroll through those records like so, and I can see what equipment's being affected along with the type of nonconformity found during the inspection. So it is important to note, like I said a little bit earlier, your nonconformity data is based on the nonconformities being created in EAM, right? So through here in our nonconformity screen, that is where it's pulling our data from. So there is some pre-configuration if you're not using it. If it's something you're interested in, by all means, reach out or try it out. But otherwise, does anyone have any questions?
I was going to ask, I saw that report in that equipment 360. So is that equipment sensitive too or not?
For the report?
Yeah.
It is. I feel like the majority of these reports are geared toward equipment specificity, but this particular report is not being filtered, as an example.
When you build that report, you have to filter it a certain way in order to be able to put it here and be filtered by equipment?
Ooh, good question. So with the list of reports that we have available, and Rebecca, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the list of reports here are the only reports that we can currently utilize for this widget.
You cannot create your own reports and put them there.
I'm actually not sure if it supports custom reports, but it basically what it's looking for is a parameter in the report to be able to filter it by equipment. So
Right.
if, in this case, if Tyler did select an equipment, it would refresh the report. So it's just as long as that object is in place, that parameter object is in place.
Yeah, like Rebecca was saying, they're all pretty much geared toward being able to be utilized properly with the widget so that there's nothing funky going on. So definitely find out for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, do me a favor. When you are in edit mode, can you go ahead and click on a save template? If you go back to edit mode and you make some changes, let's say you move a widget around or something like that, and you click on a save template, what does that do?
So if I make a change, I hit save template, it basically will just override itself and save itself.
Does it save it?
It does. There's just no feedback.
Because in my experience, that screen just sits there.
Yeah,
and
so it did save my update.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything in the Q&A? Oh, here we go. Is there a way to zoom in the report widget? For some of the reports, it shows incomplete data, which does not look good at first glance. Good question. So with the reports, it looks like it is, I guess it would depend on the report you're looking at too, but it looks like the size of the widget is dependent on, well, one, the layout, but two, it looks like it is hard-coded, so to speak, to this particular size. I know some of these allow you to resize them depending on how far you want them to go up and down in the column, but for the report one in particular, that's not an option quite yet. Let's see. Any other questions?
Do you know if HxGN plans on increasing types of charts they have available?
Good question. So from what I know, the 360 screens, the guys we're looking at right now, are under the spotlight for enhancement. I can't say specifically what they're going to be adding because I just don't know yet. We can get possibly a little bit more information on what the plan is there and let you know. Just related to the list widget. Okay, when we add widget of type list and link a view to it, shows the name of widget as list views. There's an option to rename it. Basically, what your title is going to be is like a concatenation of the screen name and the data spy. So the screen name will probably always be the same, but you do have control over what that second half of that says, depending on what you name the data spy, specifically for the list widget. Anybody else have any questions?
We run into an issue with 360 when you create a list widget and behind the scene the grid is using a custom view. With that one, currently the list view works okay, except that the drill down function doesn't work. We have a word from HxGN that will be fixed in January. I just wanted to let everybody know in case they have the same situation that there is a fix for that in January.
Awesome. Thanks for letting us know. That's good. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this session. Might help if I go over here. There we go. So for the next session, we're going to cover essentially the remaining widgets and then kind of wrap up a few housekeeping items that we've come across as well. So until next time, I appreciate you guys coming in. And if you guys weren't able to make the last few, don't forget that these are recorded and placed on YouTube, so they will be available there if you want to go back and look at the other sessions for our HxGN Hacks. Until next time, guys, see you later. Bye, guys.